In honor of Black History Month, we sat down virtually, of course, with Owiye Johnson, the Chief of Staff at GirlTrek Incorporated and the Chair for the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee at the Junior League of Lexington, Kentucky. Opa, thank you so much for joining us today. Can you tell us about yourself and GirlTrek?
Sure. Well, hi, Emma, and thank you to you and to AJLI for spotlighting GirlTrek. We greatly appreciate it. And you already mentioned my title and my junior league leadership position. So what I could say about myself is, like so many women, I wear multiple hats. I'm a nonprofit professional, I'm a business owner, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, and all the things. And I have the honor of working at GirlTrek, the largest health movement and nonprofit organization for Black women and girls in the United States. We encourage Black women to invest in radical self-care through daily walking.
That is awesome. Yes, I feel like all women wear so many different hats all the time. You know, it's surprising that we don't all have 8 arms or something like that.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, exactly. So, can you speak more to the importance and history of walking as a healing tradition in Black communities?
Sure. Well, what we know is that walking has always been integral to the African American community. So many of us think about Harriet Tubman and how she walked herself to freedom, and then led so many others to do the same thing. And so walking has always felt like freedom for African Americans. Through the civil rights movement, we marched again for freedom. In the last couple of months, in the last year in our country, as we've really been grappling with the history and the legacy of slavery and racial unrest in our country, we've seen people of color, in particular African Americans and African American women, marching and walking in the streets throughout our country for the continued fight for freedom. And so walking is just an amazing tradition in the African American community. It is a tradition of power. It's a tradition of freedom. It's a tradition of movements.
Great, thank you. I'm excited to see Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill, hopefully soon.
So are we.
On
So are we.
that. So kind of moving especially to the health focus that you have, how does structural racism and generational racism kind of affect the health of Black women?
Well, what we know is that structural racism, generational racism really affect your everyday life. And we don't think about that. But when we look at structural racism, really what we're saying is that we have a system in which public policies, institutional practices, cultural representations, and just general norms of various types reinforce the perpetuation of racial group inequality. And so that is something that permeates throughout our everyday lives, throughout all aspects of our country. And women, in particular, African American women, carry the weight and the burden of that on their shoulders on a regular basis. And so that looks like health disparities in African American communities. Today, what we know is that African American women are disproportionately affected by preventable health diseases like diabetes and heart disease. And what we also know is that the maternal health of pregnant African American women in this country is also one that has brought us to a situation where disproportionately more African American women die in child labor than any other group of women. And so African American women really carry the burden of structural and generational racism on a daily basis. And that weight can actually affect one's health. There are more and more studies that are showing that actually the day-to-day effects of racism truly have impact on our mental and physical health. And so that is why organizations like GirlTrek are so important, because Black women truly are dying, and they're dying from diseases that they don't have to die from, diseases that are completely and utterly preventable.
Absolutely. I know that in the aftermath of COVID, the CDC was working to kind of add structural racism as a kind of pre characteristic, as opposed to everything like that. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I'm actually going to push a little bit more on the self care and everything that GirlTrek provides. I loved the 100 Radical Acts of Self Care that GirlTrek released in 2020. Can you talk about, how is self care radical, kind of also touching on the things that you just spoke about?
Sure. Well, the idea of radical self care for us has been made, I guess, a little famous by an Andrea Lord quote that states, "Caring for myself is not self indulgence, it's self preservation." And that is an act of political warfare. Self care is radical, particularly when we're talking about African American women who, for many years, have been rewarded or held up or held in esteem for our labor, whether it is in the wider community or in the African American community. We always talk about how hardworking African American women are, how they take care of their families, they work multiple jobs, they do so much. Um, to the point where the idea of actually taking care of yourself seems selfish. And so when we tell Black women that actually self care is self preservation, that if you don't take care of yourself, you can't truly take care of others. If you don't care for your mental and physical health, you can't really take care of other people. And so it becomes a radical act. It's a radical act to say, I will no longer labor for someone else, but I will put myself first. I will put my care and my self worth first. And that is a little bit the basis of GirlTrek. We ask women to lace up their sneakers, walk out their door, and walk for 30 minutes a day for their own care. That means putting down your cell phone, closing your laptop. That means telling your children or your spouse or any other significant others that this time is truly my time. Maxine Waters is famous for saying she's reclaiming her time. And that's what we are asking women to do. And that is radical. We are asking them to reclaim the time that is truly theirs and use it for their benefit, not for anybody else's. And that doing that is not selfish, it is not self centered, but it is necessary.
Absolutely. Yeah, it kind of it brings me back to when we were talking about women wearing multiple hats in the beginning, and kind of I think often the unnecessary burden that is put specifically on Black women to be, the strong Black woman and, wear so many different things. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think we are moving into a time and space where Black women are honestly saying, I'm tired of being strong. And I'm tired of the expectations. And if I'm going to be strong, I'm going to be strong for myself and not strong for somebody else. And that actually filling myself up, putting myself first, putting my health, my mental and physical health and well being first, actually frees me up to be a better mom, to be a better business owner, to be a better wife, to be a better sister or cousin or aunt or daughter. That I actually am my best self when I put myself first.
Yeah, absolutely. It reminds me of the analogy on, in airplanes when they say you have to put your own mask on
Always
first.
have to put your own mask on first. There's a reason for that.
Exactly. Yeah. So kind of, we are so happy to have you as a Junior League member. And just to kind of push on that, how has your time as a Junior League member and now as the chair informed your work at GirlTrek?
Sure. Well, I always tell people my role as a chief of staff is that I'm the leader of leaders. And I learned how to do that in the Junior League. The Junior League is an organization that prides itself on being an organization filled with women leaders and being an organization that trains up women leaders. And so whether it is serving on a committee, serving with a group of other provisionals or actives or sustainers. I have been surrounded by women leaders in the junior league, and it has actually had a direct impact on how I lead at GirlTrek. GirlTrek is a small but mighty team of amazing Black women leaders. And I get the pleasure of helping to lead those women along with the rest of our executive team. And so I will say that I have taken direct skill sets that I've learned in the junior league and applied them to my work at GirlTrek. And then vice versa. At GirlTrek, I get to really focus on improving the lives of Black women and girls. And that's had a direct impact on my passion for helping the league to move forward with its goals around diversity, inclusion, equity. And I do that at the Junior League of Lexington because I have loved being a junior league member, and it has given so much to me. And this is that area where I hope that I can give to my league.
Yeah, I'd love to hear about that mutual accountability and almost like a two-way path. You know, it's helping on both sides, which I think is great to hear. And I just wanted to highlight you're celebrating quite a milestone, right, at GirlTrek. Can you talk a little bit
We
about that?
are. We are. So we were so excited, and we're really excited to share with people that in November of 2019, GirlTrek hit 1 million members all over the country. It is so exciting. It's so exciting to have 1 million Black women and girls throughout the country have really decided that their self-worth and their health is actually a priority, and they are committed to making it a priority. At GirlTrek, we give women the tools to really empower themselves and live their very best, healthiest lives. And because we do that, those women then go back out into their communities and they impact in positive ways their own communities, their own families, and those people around them. And so that is 1 million Black women who are really then turning around and pouring into their families, pouring into their communities, and making extremely positive impacts. We have members all over the country who are taking on projects like cleaning up their neighborhood parks, reaching out to their lawmakers to talk about sidewalks in their communities, to talk about how to tackle food deserts, to talk about all kinds of issues. And we like to think that GirlTrek was a small part of that it is the training and the support that those women received at GirlTrek that allowed them to really put themselves and their health first and made them healthy enough to actually then turn around and impact their own communities.
Absolutely. That is
So
such a fantastic
we're really,
accomplishment.
really excited.
Yeah, congratulations. I am
Thank you.
obviously very excited to see what comes next. I often use an analogy with impact that it's almost like a spider web. You only need one touch and then it vibrates throughout the rest of the.
Exactly.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you again so much for sitting down with us virtually. We are so excited to hear about all the work that you've been doing and excited to see what comes next.
Well, thank you. Thank you again, as I mentioned before, for highlighting GirlTrek and the work that our organization does. We greatly appreciate it. It has been a lot of fun and like such a great ride for our team and for the women in our movement. And moments like this really highlight not so much the work that GirlTrek does, but the work that our members have been doing, because they really are doing the work on the ground.
That's great to hear. It is our pleasure. We were so happy we were able to have you.